on this link, and if you are active on the forums, all of the previous General Assemblies and presentations have been announced that they are on this link also on the forums, but you will also get an email as soon as we have that. So diving into the content, again, we had quite an interesting day yesterday, more live demos than PowerPoint slides, so that was quite a success, I would say. And today we hope to continue on the same track. So there's a bSDD Q&A today. Erik has is kind of the lead speaker on this. Erik Baars is the developer of the bSDD. As you know, we had Frederick Grant as the official bSDD product owner, but Frederick has left buildingSMART France, working for CoBuilder now. So his official title as bSDD product owner or product manager, unfortunately, he couldn't continue that, but he still is active and involved in the bSDD. So his official title now is that he is an advisor, external advisor. He's still on the support mailing list. He's still very much involved, and we're very thankful for CoBuilder that they gave us the opportunity to still work together with Frederick. So that is quite nice. So I will stop my screen sharing to give Erik the ability to share his screen. And while he is setting that up, maybe the first question would be, are there any questions about bSDD? Does anyone already have something that he or she wants to know about this?
There's one question from me. It's property set storing. The IFC property sets currently are stored in XML files. Is there an intention to store the property set definitions in the bSDD?
Yes, they are. Actually, so for IFC 4.3, the entities, predefined types, relations, and all the properties and p-sets are stored in the bSDD. So you can you can basically query them using, let's see, Erik is screen sharing, query them and get them back in JSON, XML, and hopefully soon also as the RDF.
So bSDD is the next generation of the property set XML files.
Well, the property set XML files are also still there. We have this as a heritage historically. So they will be officially published, and they will be also sent to ISO. But we expect in practice that people who want to search the p-sets and get more insights in the properties, that they won't be using the XML files anymore, but will be using the bSDD. Yeah.
So the property sets are part of the regulation, a part of the IFC documentation. Also, the Express files. Is there an intention to put the Express file information also into bSDD, or is this Enterprise Architect?
So inside the Express file, you have there's a lot, but not the p-sets. So in the Express file, there's entities, attributes, relations. And the p-sets are separate. So inside bSDD, we're publishing the entities, relations, p-sets, properties, attributes, but we're not publishing the geometry types, for example. So all kinds of properties are in bSDD and all of the entities and predefined types. A lot of things from the resource layers is not being published. So it's everything that fits inside the ISO 12006 box, which is the standard for libraries. That is being published directly from UML to bSDD, actually. So the Express files, the property set definition XML files, and the input into bSDD is all generated directly from the combination of UML and Markdown.
Thank you.
And Andrea is sending me a direct message to show their solution. Yes, there's looking at the lack of questions in this session, there's definitely time to do that, Andrea. I just want to give Erik a couple minutes time to do a short introduction. There are some updates on the API. I'm not sure if materials is already in this presentation, but that's something that is coming soon. And after that, I do expect a couple of questions, and then we can move into some demos. All right, Erik.
Okay, thank you. Well, as Léon said, we didn't prepare any, well, at least no large presentation. I did prepare a small one, just to give a short update. Léon already mentioned the materials, and that's been released last week. I can show you that in a minute. Let me first do the presentation. Some small update on the links to the several environments. We we made them more uniform. Test.bSDD buildingSMART.org for the API, manage test for the management application. The management application is now the way to upload your domain into the bSDD. It's more easy than using the Swagger UI. Swagger UI is meant for developers and not for end users. So I will show you a short demo of the management app as well in a few minutes. You can find all these hyperlinks as well on our GitHub bSDD page. Some updates, there weren't many, but a few. One of them is support for materials. In the bSDD, material is a specialized kind of a classification and almost has the same properties, the same attributes as classification. It's only a different type. But we chose to present it in a separate way as a material, so the distinction is should be clear
non lo
as
fa
well.
cambiare, vabbè, non lo so come si cambia.
Okay. We also added a field reference code to the classification. It's for use in IFC files. I'm not an expert on the use of this one, but reference code should be, yeah, you can use it to enter anything, any code you like, and that should be used in IFC files. By default, it's the same as field code, but you can overrule it. You can make sure it's empty. It's just an additional field. You can do what fits your purpose for your domain. We'll first give a short demo. The Swagger UI, probably familiar to most of you guys. Classification. In here you see a material and a material search. And you can search by domain. You see. The way to search is actually the same as for classifications. You can specify search text to do some filtering. The result are, in this case, materials. It'll only find materials in this search in the regular search, materials won't be found. And if you got a URI, you can copy the namespace URI, and then you can go to the material API. To get all the details. Using search APIs gives you a list. If you want to have details, you can do a call to the material or classification API. Yeah, well, that's actually the biggest change behind the scene. We're doing small updates, small improvements. There are still several to-dos on our list. And as long as an update doesn't involve current behavior, if the current behavior stays the same, we do not introduce a new version. We only introduce a new version if the behavior change or if fields get renamed or removed from contracts. If we add more fields to existing contracts, that also doesn't break existing behavior. So adding fields is also done for the same versions. But that doesn't happen often, only now and then. For example, the reference code field is part of the response contract. Let me see if I can show you that one. In here. Here you see the response contract, and reference code is being one of them. So adding the field reference code doesn't involve a version change. It's only extends current behavior. If you did not use it, behavior is not changed. If you want to use it, you can update your API call. Okay, I promised to show you the management app. If you are an owner of a domain, then you can use the management app to upload your domain. Create a download file of it if you do not have it. Loading the first time can take a while, as you see. It's made with new .NET technology for those interested. But once it's loaded, it should be pretty fast. You need to sign in using the same bSDD account. You can upload a domain. I'm owner of multiple domains for multiple organizations. So I can choose the organization to do the upload for. Select the file. Let me see. This one. I'm just doing a validate only update. Your file is not okay. Organization code in the file does not match the one given. Well, I'm just doing a small test right now, but this way you can quite easily upload your JSON file. If you lost your JSON file, you can download it in here. If it does not exist, it's being created, and then you can press refresh in a few minutes to get the download. This one already exists, so I can download it. Other options are not available for domain owners, those are only available for bSDD system administrators like myself. Well, that's actually a short presentation and demo I had in mind, because a lot of information already has been discussed in previous workshop. And I'm not sure if there are any questions right now, or anyone wants to see anything else, or just let me know. See.
Okay, then I will just start my question.
Yep.
We discussed before the property sets definitions that are still used in XML files. Can you show how to get the property information now over the bSDD? Short example. That's my wish number one. And the second question I have, I remember last year the property sets were not completed in the bSDD. That's, I think, more a question to Léon. Are the property sets now completed in bSDD for 4.3?
Yeah, the last time the property sets were not completed, so they were also not in bSDD. And so this time we got the remaining property sets from Rail. We also did what we call a property normalization, which was necessary for a couple of different ISO standards. So the deadline for sending IFC to ISO is March 7. So yeah, even yesterday during the session, there were changes to descriptions of properties. There's no big changes anymore, but there will still be small changes until March 7. But yeah, I am quite certain that on March 8, all of the properties that have been sent to ISO are also in the bSDD. Yeah.
So up to now, it's not possible to show a short example.
Yeah, it is. And most of them, okay. I think that, so we're not doing live updates anymore. So the translation system gets live updates from the properties. You don't want to know how many updates I'm getting for new strings for the properties to translate daily now. So the live update to bSDD isn't, we switched that off. And I don't know when the last time was that we pulled it in. But yeah, no, there's a lot of them in there. I think, Erik, can you show them? Maybe even through the search website?
Or another question, last year there was the hackathon, how to get the information from bSDD. My question is, have changed anything, how to get the property sets? Okay, we take a look.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what you want to see, but this import was, I guess, half year ago, so it's maybe quite some while, but I'm not sure. If you do you have an example you would like to search for, or
no, any example. The main question for me is, have anything changed in the API to get the property set information since the last hackathon? It was 9 months before.
I'm not quite sure if it was right before or right after the previous hackathon. But we did some extensions. I'm not sure who, but someone gave us several suggestions to make things more consistent in the output. So we did change that. This is an example of the, what did I search for? Or the Volker Wessels example. Again, I'm not sure what you're looking after, a property set.
Yeah, that's one.
Yeah.
Okay. That's a kind of response to get the property sets.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
In this case, it's classifications for Volker Wessel's concrete floor demo. Again, it's a demo, but it has some properties and it does include the property set name. Does that answer your question?
What you cannot in bSDD, you cannot query a property set. So you can only, the entrance is either an entity or a property, and then from entity you can see which properties are linked and in which pset they are, or you have to be. Or you can come from properties and then see which are related entities. And in the relation, the pset name is given. So you cannot say, give me all of the properties for pset all common. So the entrance of the pset name, that's not facilitated by the bSDD.
Okay, thank you.
I have a couple of questions. Like, is there like a pull from the market for bSDD? Like, so that
no, there will never be a pull from the market for the bSDD. There is a pull from the market to provide solutions to work effectively and efficiently, and to guarantee information consistency. And from buildingSMART, the bSDD is the service that we offer to facilitate those requests. So nobody is asking for bSDD, but people are asking for an efficient way to further enrich their model, an efficient way to validate information consistency. So those things we clearly see in the market. Just also to give you some context, we started this development a year and a half ago, and the first thing we did was obviously talk to the industry, talk to contractors, to engineering companies. What are you struggling with? What are the issues that we can help with? Make business cases on how much money people could save when using the bSDD. So it eventually resulted in a bSDD, which I don't know who gave the quote a couple of weeks ago, but they said our clients have a problem and they don't know that the bSDD is the solution. So yeah, the answer to your question is there's no market pull for a bSDD, but there's a clear market pull for the solution that bSDD provides.
Okay, yeah. Another more detailed question is that it seems to be that there's a JSON version of the Swagger available. Is there like a YAML version also available?
Okay, no, well, there is not directly, but you can
Convert it somehow.
You can convert it. It's if not mistaken, editor swagger.io. Well, apparently I just recently did it. And if you say, well, import file, I didn't succeed to use the import URL, but if you can save it file, and then import file, then it creates this YAML for you.
Mm-hmm. So why did you choose to keep it in JSON, not in YAML?
Well, that's more the tooling I'm using. It's by default giving JSON.
Okay.
And,
we didn't get a market pull for that pass. First one.
Yeah. So it's for the production side. It's on the app.swaggerhub.com, as you can see in here, and also shows the YAML.
Okay. Yeah. Can you give that link?
Yep. I'll put it in the chat.
Yeah, thanks.
And I'll show you the GitHub page.
And Erik, you just direct messaged me in the chat instead of.
Oh, sorry. I'm only directing to you, apparently. To everyone, let's repeat again.
Oh, thanks.
And thanks, Yusheng, for checking out the changes of the API. And Yusheng just validated that there were several changes after the last hackathon. And this is the GitHub, the central page for documentation and all links. Okay. Any other questions?
All right, so maybe this is a natural time to do the ACCA demo. Is Andrea? You are, yeah, I see you there. So just a little bit of context. We've been spamming you with the SketchUp demo for the last year, I guess. The SketchUp development obviously also progressed. Jan, I'm not sure if Jan is actually in the call, but ACCA made also made a connection to the bSDD, which is similar in functionalities as the SketchUp plugin, so similar use case. But obviously much more professional. So I think it's a very nice demo that also shows the integration of IFC and bSDD. So very much looking forward to that. Can you share your screen, Andrea?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Can you see it?
Yeah.
Okay, so I will show you this solution that we just developed. It's called ASBeam bSDD. It's a part of our platform ASBeam. So this is our platform. This is an FC file. I'm going to edit it by using ASBeam bSDD. So first of all, we choose this application through all the other application. First, we can choose the bSDD classification, loading this classification from the web. So all the software you are going to see, it's using the bSDD API. So nothing is stored in the ACCA servers, but everything is works just using the bSDD API. So first of all, we are going to download the list of available bSDD from buildingSMART data dictionary services. Let's try the ATEM 8. Here we have all the hierarchy of this classification with cables and all the useful information that you are going to see here. So how it works? You just here, you can select the elements in this way. Just going to select in this case, for example, the photovoltaic module. I'm going to search here for the photovoltaic element inside the ATEM 8 classification. Here, photovoltaic module. I think they are photovoltaic modules, so I just click here, add. All these elements are going to be classified as a photovoltaic module. Here we have all the properties based on the ATEM classification. So as you can see, cell material, this is a combo box, or there are some numbers or string or whatever you want. So here you have all the properties. You can edit them very fast and easily. All the modules will be edited together. Let's try 22, I don't know, 100, and so on. At the end, all this information are directly saved in the IFC file. we can go to bSDD and have some information about this class. This is querying the bSDD web server. The same you can do with the properties. And so you can work and selecting each element on the IFC file, you select the correct IFC classification, and you can add it and add also all the properties. Just to be faster, I will show you a completed classified file.
Non è un problema. No, assolutamente.
Bene, grazie.
Nulla.
This is the same file completely classified. Let's wait a bit.
ACCA software.
So, as you can see here, there are a lot of elements already classified. The blue lines are classification with some elements. I can filter here and see only the classified element, and then I can just look at the object. This classified object, corrugated plastic hose. If I click here, I can see all the properties. I can also select the color for each classification. At the end of the day, I will see all the element colored here. And so you can see all the classified elements. You can also see all the elements without any classification. So you can go further and classify all the elements. And so at the end of the day, if you go to the property on the IFC file, you see the classification, the property set, and everything is classified. So it's in Italian, but you can see that if you select one object, you will see the classification. If you download this file and you open this file with another viewer, you see all the file classified. So this is the way we want to use the bSDD and also the information. In this way, you can use the bSDD and edit all the properties of the property and the classifications. Yeah. I just do you have any question, or I can mainly this is the main function of the software. Any questions?
Andrea, is this available already for?
Yeah,
users?
it's just one day that it's available.
I have a question, short question.
Yeah. Yeah.
You mentioned that was a photovoltaic, but it seems to me if it's connected with a piping, it's a solar device, as a hot water, and it cannot be matched with photovoltaic. Sorry.
No, the first example was these are just a photovoltaic system, but inside there are other systems. Yeah, these are electrical system pipes. As you see, this is
Okay, then it's a
yeah.
conduit. Oh, okay, fine.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sorry, I was just a little bit fast, but yeah. ETIM is used mainly for electric systems, so we have chosen an electric plant and try to classify all the objects. But this is just an example, so maybe could be some errors.
What about translations to other languages?
They are already translated, because if now I'm using the platform in English, but if I change and in another language, when I ask for the bSDD, I also pass the language parameters. So everything will be translated in the right languages. Not all the bSDD have all the languages or several languages. But if the languages is there, we will use the correct languages. We have currently we use English, Espanol, France, Portuguese, and Deutsch. Also, all the information. Also, when you ask for the bSDD, you will ask for with the language code here. So everything is already multi-language.
And what about units? I think when you showed the generic property overview, the units were not shown, but that's there they are.
They are there here.
Yeah.
It depends on the classification. I'm trying to use B18 because it's very complete, and so not all the classification are still are so complete. And here, when if there is a millimeter, and this also if it's a double, you can just enter double. If I am clicking on a letter here, it doesn't happen. If I write a number, it happens. So also we try to make some control on each field, on each properties. Here, for example, these are all the enum values as reported by the classification. So the input is a guided input. It's not a free input. And it's very powerful because you can select all the element and select and click and edit all the elements together in just one shot. And for each properties, you can go to the bSDD site and check what does it mean, what it means, and you have the code. So you can use really the bSDD classification and try to write the information on the IFC file. And everything is already saved in the IFC file. I'll show you if you want, if I download it and if I just download it and open with IFC viewer, the classification is there. So the information are saved live directly, immediately in the FC file. I'm using Asbin viewer, but you can use whatever IFC viewer you want. See, you see all the elements classified and with all the properties. So we think this is a very straightforward use of bSDD. Just very easy, direct, and already there to be used. You can use it for free for 1 month. So I will ask you to use it and have some feedback because it's really new. I just show maybe yesterday or 2 days ago to Léon, and ask also him to have some requests. We are going to add materials now and other small changes as the bSDD is still going on, as you see before.
Is it any conversion support in bSDD for units, metric units versus imperial units, etc.?
I don't think so, but maybe Léon can.
Yeah, there's no actual values of the properties in the bSDD. So you only have properties, sometimes a range of allowed values and enumerations, but the actual properties are inside the IFC file. So it's just not a feature that makes sense for bSDD.
Now we are using not IFC measure, but we are using IFC double, IFC string. We are not going to use, until now, we don't want to use, also in the future, you can add more information on the bSDD. also to check some values, not just max and minim, but also other information, but not now.
Yeah. So for the allowed values of properties inside bSDD, we're using the exact same restrictions as we're using in IDS. So that was also mentioned yesterday during the IDS presentation that IDS and bSDD are, there is an integrated approach there. So on the roadmap, they would also grow in functionalities more and more closely together.
Yeah, so we are going to support it as soon as possible. IDS and bSDD are very connected each other. So as maybe you know, we are working on both. But bSDD is very useful, straightforward, and yeah.
Was it you, Andrea, who said that our clients, this solves a problem for our clients, but they don't realize it yet? Or was it someone else?
Yeah, I said that. Now our clients is still looking for some solution to their problems, and maybe the solution is the bSDD, but they don't know that. So, or maybe it's a mix of bSDD and IDS, because they want to add some properties, but also they want to check them. So bSDD and IDS, they work together. They are very useful if they work together, because bSDD, maybe you can use it for editing files, and IDS to check if the properties are the right ones and everything is correct. So yes, what we are doing is try to suggest to use bSDD as a solution for and IDS. As you see there, last year we participated to the buildingSMART Awards with our IDS solution. And so because we believe in bSDD and IDS working together.
Any other questions? All right. Thank you.
Yeah, you can add more and more classification to the same file and so on, but I think these are the most important features of our solution.
Thank you, Andrea.
Thank you for your time.
Very impressive. I liked that you had a series of what about this questions, and you nailed them all. It was very impressive. It's really cool presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, since this is a Q&A session, I'm just hopping on to the next question. I saw a question from Tim in the chat. Will importing a JSON file remain the only way to enter data into the bSDD, or will there also be a manual way? I'm not sure what you mean by manual, Tim. Just feel free to...
Thank you, Léon. Now the only way is to import a JSON file, and you can make typos in it or link to entities maybe not valid within bSDD. So will there be a possibility for a user to input entity by entity via a graphical user interface, where you can have direct validation and also force people in only filling in what's possible into filling in?
Yeah, that's a very good question. So this is a sensitive topic. So what I would like to avoid is that we make one crappy editor to put in data into the bSDD, and then that becomes the one way to deal with importing bSDD data, and nobody's happy with it. So what I would like, the original strategy was to not make those kind of editors and leave that to the industry. So what we also see is that there's a lot of big domains who have their own management system. eTIM, for example, has their own management system, and then when they have a version, they push it in full to the bSDD. And there's also a big market that has maybe a smaller set of properties and classes, and doesn't have the funds to get those to make their own system. And building a system for them would make sense. But what I really hope is that there will be like 5 different systems to choose from. So and we already see that happening a bit. In Germany, there's BIM ETA, there's BIM Q also in Germany, I think. co-builder define is probably moving into the direction to to build your own system and then push it to the bSDD in full. And there is a very nice project from buildingSMART France, from the chapter, who got a sponsor to create what they call semantics for BIM, which is a relatively open, I think it will even become open source management platform to one by one put in your entities, properties, create relations, also have a live link to the bSDD for searching for links. That project is very promising. It looks much more professional than I expected, to be honest. So it could be an option when we get this request more often to kind of elevate that from the France chapter into international, if there's more chapters or more people who request it. So I guess we're back to market pool again. But this is certainly something that again, I'm a little bit, this is a bit sensitive because I don't want to kind of position that one thing as this is how you put in data into the bSDD. I also want CoBuilder to support this. I also want BMeta to continue to support it. But it is certainly one of the serious options that we're considering. Yeah.
Thank you, Léon. Do you have maybe a link to the project of buildingSMART France?
It's not live available, but I can make some introductions if you want, of course.
Thank you.
Because just let me check. Frederick is not in a call, is he? Frederick, when he was still at buildingSMART France, he was leading your project. Now he left to CoBuilder, but the project still remains, of course. Also, not anyone from buildingSMART France.
Hi, I'm here, Yoshin. I'm the new guy after Frederick, who live in buildingSMART France. Yeah.
Good. Wow, that's good. I didn't know that yet. Well, congratulations to buildingSMART France.
Thank you.
That's a good choice.
Thank you. Actually, for semantics for BIM, we are still in beta phase, so we are trying hard to do that. Maybe later in Q2, we'll have a public version for your test. So if you need, I can leave my email in the chat. You can contact us directly.
Thank you.
So when do you start, or did you already start?
Yeah, officially it's the first February.
And what's your official title?
For now, it's in French it's responsable techniques. It's like technical manager.
Yeah. So it's the same as Frederick.
Yeah.
Cool.
Thanks.
Yeah. Congratulations to you, but yeah, very much also congratulations to buildingSMART France. They made a good choice. Yeah. All right. So I guess Tim, as soon as the email address pops into the chat, please feel that I don't have to be in the middle to do the introductions, but I guess that also goes for others. If you want to know more about the project, just feel free to contact them directly. All right. Any other questions? And just checking the chat. Did I miss any questions there? The question that I expected a bit is, how do you map the different data, the properties and the classes to the different versions of IFC? So for example, in the ACCA demo, we saw that also the identifier, the URI, was put into the IFC file. We have a list for that. I will also put that into the chat. So if you want to do an implementation that is similar to the one from ACCA or SketchUp, then this is how you should map the different data, the data fields that you get from the JSON into IFC.
Will you send out all the chat information in the material after this workshop?
Yeah, the material will all be online indeed, and the videos as well. This is being recorded. Chat, I have to check with Dan. But we will also do a follow-up email, of course, with more information.
Good.
I'm keeping the chats. I'm not sure that we normally make them public, but if there's any information people want, they can certainly contact directly.
Yeah, let me, just for archiving purposes, let me also show you the link. So it's on GitHub, buildingSMART, buildingSMART organization bSDD repository, and then under documentation, there's only one file currently, unfortunately, the bSDD IFC mapping. So this is a table where you see this is the field name that you will find in the bSDD, and this is how you should map it to 4.3, 4, and 2x3. There's also mapping to IDS available if you want to use bSDD to search to create an IDS. We will publish that as well at this table. So that's from a homeworking housekeeping perspective, you would officially have the link in the recording now. Are there any other topics, any other links to discuss? Is anyone in this group actively developing some kind of a link to the bSDD, structuring their data to publish it into the bSDD?
We are not really busy yet, but I know there's an idea to do this in the context of one of the projects in IFC.
Yeah, I saw some signage properties coming in from Rail, I think. Yeah, there's currently, I think, about 50 domains inside the sandbox inside the testing environment. So there's quite some people being lesser or more active to publish their data. What I really like is that we had Petrobras, the large oil and gas supplier from Brazil, who is using IFC for a lot of their offshore constructions. They also publish their own set of classes and properties that they use for all of their construction works. And I think that's a really nice example. And together with the kind of tools that we envision, that we just saw from ACCA as well, it's probably I think the use case is quite strong to be able to manage those kinds of additions or extensions to IFC quite effectively. The nice thing is that when you publish additional classes and properties in the bSDD, it would almost work out of the box with every kind of other IFC version. So you don't have to go through a long process and a standardization process and wait for a new version of IFC, wait for vendors to implement that. This is a very, very dynamic way to easily extend IFC and have it work the shortest route possible. So there's a lot of advantages for data owners who want to do that. And also for software vendors. So they only have to support one API to be able to support 50 different local or regional standards out of the box because they're structured the same way. So sorry for that commercial ad in the middle, but as you would notice, I'm quite enthusiastic about this. All right. When I asked earlier if there was any questions or comment, I thought Pasi opened his microphone. Did I cut you off, Pasi?
No. Well, I was thinking, like, was it related to the bSDD or this 2 days in general? Like.
Yeah. Well, let's keep it focused on bSDD for now. So
okay. Yeah.
I know we have another hour to kill before we go to the open house, but. Let's try to wrap up bSDD first, and then we can go to the open.
Yeah, I have been trying to create the Java classes from the Swagger, but no luck at the moment. I don't know what's going on wrong, but maybe it's not easy in a meeting. Multitasking.
Tim, you have your hand up?
Yes, another small question. Will the bSDD API be a part of the OpenCDE API?
Ooh, that is a very good question. So currently we have 3 standardized APIs, the BCF API, Document API, and the Dictionaries API, which is basically the bSDD API. And all 3 are officially indeed part of the OpenCDE portfolio of API standards. So currently the official answer is yes. But after Documents API, the next API standardization projects we envision is probably the Properties API, the use case there is also quite clear. It's very similar to what ACCA just presented. So there's these 2 ideas of Properties API and bSDD that have been developing in parallel, and we have to bring those together. So what I said earlier on, it's difficult to query a specific P set in bSDD. That is something that we envision would probably be a request coming from this API, a Properties API development. So yeah, in a few months, depending on how fast and how successful Document API adoption is, we have to tackle that issue. But yeah, obviously, we don't want these to be conflicting or diverging. We want to bring them together, and we understand the challenge that we have there. We hope to be able to integrate those more and more relatively quickly.
Thank you.
The Documents API, that's a kind of standard API that is implemented by many vendors, whereas bSDD is an API that has like one URL. So in that sense, they are a little bit different. But yeah, what comes to the properties, there should be something that at least the concept should be harmonized.
Yeah, I don't want to kind of position bSDD as the only place where people can publish their properties, their definitions. We want to avoid a lock-in at any cost, of course. But it would also be weird if bSDD was the only one that had a different API that was then deviating from the property API again. So yeah, we have to just, everyone currently is quite actively working on Documents API or bSDD, and in a few months we just have to sit together at some point and have a joint path forward. I'm confident and optimistic that we will work that out. All right. Then if there's no other specific bSDD questions or comments, I suggest to have a 15-minute break. A 12-minute break until 10:15 European time, so 12 minutes from now. And then we would start the open house session a bit earlier. Is that okay? Andrea, are you doing your presentation for the open house as well? Is that who from ACCA is doing the presentation that was scheduled for 11? Oh, I will do it, Michelangelo. Yep, so is it okay to do it in 11 minutes from now, or do you need more time to prepare? Okay,
no problem.
Yeah. I'm one of those last minute guys, so I would have needed the additional hour. So okay, let's have a short break then and come back in 11 minutes at 15 minutes past the hour, and then we'll start the open house session with Arkad first, and Bernhard had another thing as well. Hi everyone. So it's 15 minutes past. I'm not sure if everyone's back, but let's slowly start the session again. So we're starting the open house part of the session. So we had 2 suggestions coming in. One from ACCA about presenting how to transform any kind of IFC data to valid IFC 4.3. and one from Bernhard on how to use pictures and HTML in the comments of a step file. So I suggest to start with the one from ACCA. I think Michelangelo was about to do the presentation. So are you there, Michelangelo?
Yes.
Yep.
Can you hear me?
Good. Yes. So please start sharing your screen. And while you do that, I will remind everyone again that this session is being recorded and all of the recordings will be published on the website. All right, we see your screen.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, hello everyone. I'm Michelangelo from ACCA, and first of all, I think that this implementers meeting session has been really nice with the spirit of doing live demos, which sometimes may fail when doing the presentations, but still are really engaging for who is listening. And I think that the audience it's quite it's very interesting because here there are the most IFC experts and also implementers, so one can go a little bit more technical and get precious feedback from everyone. So in the spirit of this kind of presentation, I will just give a brief context on what I would like to show you. I don't have a presentation prepared, so I will do a mostly live demo, but first a little bit of context, and I will start with a rather provocatory statement in order to elicit some comments that could agree or disagree, I think, with this idea from the audience. So I hope to get some comments and the feedback on that. And this is something that we also see envisioned from the technical roadmap from buildingSMART when we are talking about the modularization of the IFC, and in particular this concept and this perception that we have on MVDs today, and how given the geometry here in the technical roadmap, it is specified something like a 5-star 3-star geometry system is something so that we think that is envisioned also by this technical roadmap. And the sentence will be that at ACCA we really think that we should start considering separating the geometry of a model from its data, where with data we mean properties, classifications, materials, all the relationships of the IFC schema and so on. What this means is that as long as one have the geometry of the model in any format, in any open format, we will see an example with IFC, but really this concept applies more generally. And this geometry is created with any tool, for example, a beam motoring, which is specialized in doing the design part, for example, and to create such geometry. Then it is possible to reassign the structure of the IFC model in many ways in order to create it differently based on the use case needed each time, and also assign properties, classifications, and so on, in order to have let's say a different MVD each time, without, for example, being bound to the authoring tool and its supported IFC schema or MVD versions, since sometimes the new releases of the schema are adopted slowly or not supported at all or partially, or simply because there may be BIM tools that will be specialized in contributing with their knowledge directly on the model in open format. So it can be edited and enriched, and operations can be done on that by different tools and different actors. Now, if this seems a little bit too ambitious, I will try to focus on a particular use case that we have encountered as ACCA during a project that we are developing with buildingSMART Italy, where we have this project which is called IFC Road Italy, where has the goal to basically verify and the IFC 4.3 during the operation, you know, during the life cycle of a road use case, a real existing use case. And this group was really nice because it contained many participants, and it was various because there was different stakeholders. So there were design companies, software developers and distributors, but also universities and research bodies, contracting stations, construction companies, and so on. By the way, the group, the project leader is Paolo Borin from the University of Padova, which I think is also in the audience. So if you have any specific question about this project, please get in touch with him or ask him directly. For the presentation, what I would like to do is to show what we have done and how we have contributed to the project. And what was the project about? Well, one of the steps was for the modelers involved to create, given the it was an existing real road, so the stakeholder provided documentation about this road. And so the first step for the modelers was to use their preferred bimotoring tool in order to create the model. And the problem was, at least from our point of view, that none of the involved software, except for one, was actually exporting with the new IFC 4.3 schema. Every modeler was really productive in doing the geometric part, and you can see that the level of detail, this is just one roundabout. We will see the complete model in the later example, because it was a very complex model. We will see after. The modelers were really good at doing the design part, let's say, to create the geometry. But again, except for one, which was another software that was able to export the 4.3 in the 4.3 standard, even if the export was not up to date with the latest changes in the schema about the alignment, for example, the semantic and the geometric definition rather than the linear placement and so on. So this particular concept, still classes were classified correctly and also spatial structure. But for all the others, this was the exception. The rule for all the others was that basically everything gets exported most of the time as an IFC building element proxy. Of course, in a version that is 4 or 2.3 of the IFC. And also there is no spatial structure at all. And when there is possibility to define a spatial structure, this relies on the use of non-proper concepts for the infrastructure, such as the use of building stories. And this was the common situation for different authoring. So we have the objects, we have some properties, but other than that, sometimes we don't even have materials or name for the entities. In fact, here we don't have name, and we use the name of the class. So what we see this as a challenge to try to let's say to enforce our statement, where we say, okay, here it's a clear example where we have a really cool geometry and where we need to reassemble the file and everything to make it compliant with the new IFC, in particular the 4.3, because this is an infrastructure project. And so what we have done is that we have developed a tool that allows to create a new spatial structure for this model and to classify the entities, to transform them in the proper IFC 4.3 classes with the proper predefined type, object type, and so on. What I will show you here is a beta version of the application and is a desktop version. Everything now is being ported to the cloud. So you will see here a user interface and user experience, which is very poor. But on the other hand, when it will be ported on the cloud, there will be all kind of nice UI and the user experience, and also the input will be guided for the user in order to suggest the correct predefined types for each entity and so on. But for this example, let's start saying that we want to easily reassemble this geometry into a new spatial structure. And so let's start. We know that we have an IFC project. So we would like to have a site. Let's say that this is my site. I will start doing the site. Then we will probably need a road. So we will do an IFC road under the site, and then we will do my road part as an IFC facility part, which could be of type probably IFC road part. Okay, this is probably roundabout. For the user genome, the user can fill in all this information. And already at this point, as a computer scientist myself, I'm already bored to input this manually. So as a computer scientist, I always rely on copy paste if it's available. And here it is not available. It will be on the online version, or which we computer scientists do best. We write script that will automatize this to avoid this repeating of inputting information, and we will see after how we will convert this automatically given some basic instructions. But for our first example, I will say, let's say that we want to do this manually, and let's say that we want this very easy spatial structure. Let's say that we want a couple of objects that I can select from there manually, or using any kind of filtering about properties and so on. And let's say that we want to add those three entities into the this roundabout facility part. The name we keep empty, so it will be the same, which is an empty name. And let's say that this is probably an IFC course with a user-defined predefined type and an object type. And for all the other elements, just to go very fast, here I can select the non-assigned entities. I would say, okay, for all the others, just keep it as built element. So what I have done is that I have classified this file, and then I can create the model with this new view, let's say, with this new spatial structure and with these new classes. So let's try this. I will do, okay, let's call it demo. Let's see. And so what I'm doing is that, again, I'm changing from on one end, the spatial structure of the file, and on the other end, I'm changing classes to objects that really, for now, are only proxies. So the conversion is completed, and I can use, let's use another viewer to check the result. And what was called was demo.ifc. So what we can do is that we can open in another viewer just to check that now we have my site, my road, and the road part. And some that they are mostly built elements, but some, I think something like this was classified as IFC course. Now, what it's kept from the original model is properties, materials, if available, groupings, and other characteristics, but other can be added with other tools. Like, for example, if you need to add groupings and so on, then you can do with other tools as well. Now, as I said before, as a computer scientist, I will not, since there were many participants with different authoring software, we offered to do this conversion to have these nice IFC 4.3 files to then be studied in more detail, because behind the scene, the University of Padua in particular was doing a lot of work on the theoretical side of things in order to create rules, let's say rules, that says, okay, this should really be an IFC course. So they established some well-defined, predefined types, object types, and so on. And also on the other side, they created a very complex special structure where they have basically gone into the detail of the complexity of the project to create a proper special structure. And so I will open the same model, but you will see what's the difference. And the difference is in these two things. One is that basically we had this very complex special structure that was created and made available to everyone. We agreed all on this special structure, and so basically the special structure is something like this, which is very, very complex actually, but still when you will see the complete model, you will understand why there is the need for such complexity. But it has been very carefully studied because the model needed this kind of decomposition. And so we then asked ourselves, how can we avoid to manually doing the mapping every time we receive the file, because the file undergone many revisions. So every time someone was updating the model, adding some entities, removing others, changing things. So do we have to do this manually every time? As I said, as a computer scientist, I would rather write a script that will do this for me. And in fact, what we came up to, also to give power to the modelers to get complete power to their data, is that we simply asked for some kind of pset. And why we asked for a pset is because we found that pset is something that at least was possible to do for all the used B motorings. So we simply asked to them, okay, you will have the power to do the conversion on your own, and for doing so, you will simply need to put for every entity some information, basically a pset with 4 properties. You will need to tell me what the new class will be, what the new object type will be, what the new predefined type will be, and what the code of the special structure will be. And again, on the special structure, we have established it commonly, so it was commonly agreed to be this. So every modeler continued and done basically this mapping. And of course, now what I could do is that I can start doing the mapping manually. So let's say that I want to classify everything that is in the let's see 11471 code. So I will find 11471 code, which is this one, which is a facility part of superstructure of type vertical, and I can filter on the objects. So I will have, of course, those proxies, which are also highlighted here in there. And I will say, okay, of this, they are all user defined, all wearing course, all course. So I could easily do this manual thing of adding, the IFC course of type, what's that, user defined, of object type wearing course. And I can continue doing this manually. And for one model, we have done this to check that if this was a feasible solution. And we found that actually it was. But as I said before, I will actually rely on a script that will do this automatically for me. So the very natural next step will be basically to not rely anymore on this user interface to do this mapping, which is still a very good thing to have when you have to do things manually. But what we have done is that basically we added we created a script that will take in input the model that we were receiving, and that again they were updated constantly. So we had to convert them continuously and write a script that will do that automatically for us. So what this script will do is that we will take the input, read on those property sets that we agreed on, read the special structure that we agreed on, and create the model accordingly. And so basically every time that we received these new models from the modelers, we were able to convert this. Of course, don't get fooled by the fact that I opened it in another viewer, because this is not the end of the story. It's not the end of the usage of these models, because they in this particular case they are used to explore, you know, the IFC 4.3 capacities. So this is more about doing basically the thing that I showed you in the viewer is not the end of the story, because if someone is requiring this model in this particular format, in this particular way of structuring things, is because probably it will be the beginning of a different workflow from on another end. So don't get fooled by the fact that this is not the end of this model. In our particular use case, again, we used the IFC 4.3 just to explore its possibility and the feasibility for Italian roads to be modeled with the new standard. Let's see one of the file that has been converted, and this is a complete model. Meanwhile, the script is still running and will convert also the others. But let's see this one, which is the complete model. So it has 2 roundabouts and the straight section. And you can see the complexity of the different roads available. And of course, every time I click on an object, it will be in the correct facility part with the correct object type, predefined type, with the properties that were originally available in the original model. And so everything is classified correctly. Now, if this would be the end of the story, the end of the presentation, I would already be satisfied with the result, because I would say that we completely we are in line with the separation between geometry and data that we stated in the beginning, because it seems to work, and it seems that there are no problem with that. But then, given our experience in the IFC rail project in particular, we have started thinking on how we can contribute even more to this, on how we can, for example, add concepts that are specific for the IFC 4.3 infrastructure schema. And let's say the most important concept that we hear in kind of every presentation is about the alignment. And the alignment often is available, but not in all IFC models, of course, but still it's there. It's there in LandXML formats, for example, or in other formats that one can ask the stakeholder to get access to. And all those formats, as shown also by, I think, Peter Bosma yesterday, where they shown a tool that go back and forth between LandXML and IFC 4.3 alignment. It is possible to include also the information about the alignment. And this is exactly what we have done. So we have took these alignment data from an external source, LandXML. We transferred it into a JSON for convenience. So the starting point now also included information about the alignment, but also some other concept that I will show you directly on the on an online platform. Here now it says that someone updated the model, and I will show you how. Because what happens is that after the conversion, we still kept the property set of that we asked the modelers to add, but then we do another pass, another update to the models where we clean this model of that particular preset, which is not very useful because we really don't need it since we have the correct class mapping now. But going back to the point of what we can add even more to this model, I will show you that always using automatization, we have done the conversion, and we also used our experience that we had in the rail project in particular, but also in the infrastructure project, to add, for example, information about the alignment. And again, this was coming from an external data source, which in this case was a land XML. And so it has been nicely converted into an alignment of the IFC 4.3 schema. So it has all the nice decomposition into segments. And also, as you may know, since you have all the business logic inside, then one can start doing functionalities on this. So for example, we can extract the plot of the alignment, so the vertical alignment, horizontal alignment, the count, which is not available in road models, and I will show you how instead count is modeled. And so one can start doing those kind of functionalities. So for every time there is a curve, you will have all the data plotted, and this is very convenient for the stakeholder because they are used to look at something like this, and this is very convenient because it's extracted directed from an IFC model. So it will have all this nice information that is used to look at in the classic way directly from the IFC model. Then we also used the concept of stationing, for example. So here we will see that this is actually an IFC referent that says, okay, at distance along 0, we have the kilometric point is 18 kilometers plus 700 meters. And we also have other ways to show the same information, which is, for example, in a tabular form. And this is very convenient also for doing some kind of checking. So the stakeholder, that is the client, let's say, that is receiving the file, can do some checking about the alignment to see if it's what is expecting. As a last addition to this model, I will point out the heavily use of annotation. Annotation, I don't know if you are familiar with, but we are also exploring this lately as a part of contribution on this project, and also in collaboration with the University of Padua. And what we have done is that we have followed the guidelines expressed in the IFC road examples, and we tried to reproduce them. So I said before that count is not available as part of the IFC alignment in road projects. And in fact, you have only horizontal and vertical, but count can be expressed as a series of crossfall events. So each crossfall event is something that is linearly placed along the alignment, so we can go and see where it is placed. We use this graphical notation, but really you can use whatever it is needed. So it says that at this point of the alignment, there is this slope that is applied on the that will do, let's say, the count part. And the same can happen with the speed. So for example, if you, in the plot that you have seen before, you also want the speed change along the track, then you can also rely on the annotation, which have this particular and standardized user-defined predefined type with this object type. And in this standardized property set, you will have the speed. So you can easily pick all the annotation which are related to the alignment with the linear positioning and with the rel positions concept to plot the change of speed along the line, as we have done for the alignment before. And there are also all kind of other useful information. So there is when there is how you say it, a widening of the road, you will have this event stated clearly with the width, with how it is transitioning from the previous event, and what sides are affected. In this case, both sides are being widened. And then general information that we put as an annotation in the beginning of the track of the alignment, where you can have more general information like the design traffic volume, line width, and so on. And this is all information that we found are made in a standard way like this with those standard p-sets, and this is something that the stakeholder really needs and wants to. So it is really nice to have a standard way to do this in the hope that also other implementation will like the stakeholder will start requiring those information in those standard ways. So as a conclusion, I would say that this was a particular application, and it was really useful for us, and because we can experiment with the real use cases and apply those tools and technologies to do those kind of experiment. But again, the more general idea is that we really think that we should start separating the geometry of the model that we have seen is nicely done from any tool, from the data that it is then required by different users for different reasons, and should be possible to rearrange them in any way that they want, because they have every time they have different needs. And so I would say that this is one step into this direction, and the fact that this was done on real data, on real use cases, makes this for us even more important for believing in this and going into this direction. And this is something that we apply also to other projects. We have seen the presentation from Andrea for the ASBIM bSDD, but also the ASBIM IDS follow basically the same principle, which again is to start separating geometry from the data of the user. So with that, I will conclude my presentation. Of course, if you have any question, feedback.
Yeah, thank you, Michelangelo. Let's open up for questions. I see applause coming in from Pasi. I would like to second that. It's very impressive. It's really nice work.
So the input was IFC and land XML, was it?
Yes, the input was a different IFC produced from different authorings that are civil packages. So given that in the project there were many different modelers, each one was using their preferred tool to model the same. Maybe I can share again to show you different models. So for example, this comes from an authoring software, but this one is different, the one that you see here. And one was using a different authoring software. The input was either an IFC 2.3 version or IFC 4, but it really didn't matter, because the common thing was that all the objects were proxies, and there was no special structure as we would like to have. So it didn't matter what the IFC input was. We translated it, we converted it by using this pset basically to give the power to the user to decide which class would be converted this object into. So yeah, and for the alignment, we didn't add any IFC with the alignment, so we have relied on a LandXML that was containing the track information, and we converted also the LandXML to the IFC 4.3 model.
Is there like the use of these models then? Is that is there any other software than your software that can take these 4.3 models and make use of them?
This one is a viewer. It's a free viewer that takes has taken in input our model. I think this will only do visualization, so no special things. But for example, what we have used these two is for the quantity takeoff. So there will be other software that will receive this and do the quantity takeoff based on these criteria. I have to warn you, because when you start adding new concepts such as the new alignment definition or the use of linear placement, most, if not all, the commercial tools available are not able to deal with these new entities, but that is a problem of those commercial tools that have not yet implemented the new standard. Again, as we are also part of the IFC Rail and IFC infrastructure project, we have included this information, and we are confident that the alignment in there and the linear placement used is correct. And so when there will be commercial application that will handle this model, then there will be no problem about this also. For this one in particular, to make this which is a 4.3 release candidate for file, this is opened into this viewer as long as you don't use the new concepts such as the alignment and the linear placement. So we have done a two-step conversion. So the file that we produce is according to the latest release candidate available at this time, and that has no specific MVD. And this comes from the experience from the IFC Rail and the IFC Infra projects that we are also participating in.
I have a comment to the term classification, because when you put the objects in the spatial breakdown system and also use the predefined object type, you call it classification. But you have another system for general classification from outside classification systems.
Yes, absolutely. With classification, what we have focused into this project is to convert, let's say, to a new class, a new object type, a new predefined type, and the new special container. If you want to do classification, we have other tools that will do this. I'm not sure if I can show you also from there, but if you with the classification, you mean I don't know if in this version it will work, but if you want to do classification like IFC classification reference, that there are other tools that you can use, such as this one or the one that Andrea showed before with using directly the bSDD, where you can fill this information. I will try this. I don't know if this version is up to date and it will work, but in this case, what will be done is that there will be, I think it was this one, where we added this omniclass classification, and I think I could also try to open into another one. Okay, let's try to open into this one to show that the classification actually it's there. So I think it's on the desktop. It's this one. I don't remember which object. I hope it's this one. Yeah, this one has now classification omniclass that we chosen from the that we added from this tool. But the focus of this project was not about classification in the sense of IFC classification reference, but about this conversion. But this is exactly the point. If a user like you or anyone else come with another need, like, hey, I have this geometry and I want a classification system that I will pick from the bSDD or somewhere else, then you will rely on this tool or another to attach to this geometry the information about classification as we have done here. Yep.
Yeah, it's just the term classification used in two different situations that is a little bit confusing.
It's
maybe.
confusing. Okay, sorry about that, but no, we distinguish with classification. You are right. We mean this IFC classification and IFC classification reference, which was not part of this project of conversion, which was more about changing class, object type, predefined type, spatial structure, and so on.
Yeah. But in a way, that is also a classification in itself. So
yeah, in fact, if you go into the buildingSMART data dictionary, the IFC 4.3 is expressed as a classification. So
yeah.
And
I have another more detailed question about alignment. You used annotation for count. Is that how you need to handle it also for rail?
No.
Defined for rail. Or it should be the same alignment definition for rail and road, or?
No. First of all, keep in mind that in the call there is Peter Bauma, which I think is the maximum expert on alignment, so we can also ask to him. But from our experience in practice, what we have seen that for the road, the alignment is expressed as those that we call crossfall events. But for the road, let me see if I can find something that we have done into the other project. Let me check if I have something. Little bit of messy folder here, but basically for the count, you will use the IFC alignment count definition because that is something that is available directly in the count definition. So for rail, you will rely on count directly. Let me see if this alignment have count. Okay, this has some count values, and again, you can have here the data about the business logic about the count. So in this case, you will see here the values of the count. I can try to show you on the plot. I'm not sure if this is a very old file, so I'm not sure if this will show up also in the plot. But basically, yeah, this was one of the files that we corrected. But basically, what will happen is that you will have here the plot of the count, which is constant, and then when you will have count, you will have plotted like this. So for rail, I would say you would definitely use the dedicated IFC class, which is nested into the alignment. For roads, the story seems to be a little bit different. At least this is our experience in practice. But again, for further details, please refer to other experts that are also into this call that can give you a more technical, more authoritarian answer. Yeah, let's say.
Is the maximum alignment expert still on the call? I like that. I like that title, Peter.
I'm sure I'm not a maximum alignment expert.
One of the maximum alignment experts.
Thank you, Michelangelo, for the the nice words. But I think you explained it very clearly. So the count alignment is similar to the horizontal and vertical alignment defined by segments, and the segments are defined as a 2D profile.
Okay, and for road, it's handled by annotation, is it so?
So for here, I'm for sure totally not the expert. I think road only has vertical and horizontal alignment, but please correct me if I'm wrong over there. And that could be handled by annotation. I don't know.
I can show where we found this information, but of course, if someone knows more about this, please jump into the conversation. I will. In the meantime, I will find the document where we found this, so I can show you exactly where we found. Let me see if I can find it. So we have, okay, this a nice annex which contains examples. So we would rely on this as source of truth. And then I have to say we have Friday technical meetings with the BSI technical experts where we show our results and get feedback. So for the super elevation part, you can use this example here, where you have all this decomposition. Then you have this ACCA annotation, which is positioned linearly along the curve with a distance expression, and then you have this annotation of super elevation event, which has a super elevation value, and also the widening of the widening pset. There was also another part where we found this. Let me see if I can find. I don't remember exactly where it was, but
So sorry, Michelangelo, to interrupt you. I think these Friday morning meetings, everybody that's interested from the technical perspective and implementing this, very welcome to join the Friday morning meeting. And we have there a meeting in the context of IFC 4.3, where we are just discussing with the implementers the issues they find and if how to solve them, and either how to implement it correctly, or either how this influences the standard, or how the standard should be interpreted.
Yep, exactly. And yeah, for the events, there is this package events from the conceptual model report that says that every time you have an event that may occur along the alignment of a route, you could rely on these annotations that have a specific predefined type that has to be, for example, in this case, we use user defined with this object type, which you can attach the pset, which is also available in the documentation. So it's a standard pset with the crossfall property. But I also think that you can use this one for the count, which is the annotation of type super elevation event, this other pset, and with this other property. So this is usually where we get the theory from. Then we try to implement it and bring to the attention of the BSI technical team on those Friday meetings. So that's what we have done for the IFC rail and the infra projects.
Okay, thank you. A very good explanation, I would say. Thank you.
Thank you for the comment.
Just a small additional comment. So these Friday meetings are currently being hosted by the rail and infra projects. These projects obviously have an end date somewhere this year, but from buildingSMART International, we intend to continue with these implementer support meetings at least until the end of the year as well. So even when the project stops, these meetings will continue to support the vendors and the implementers. All right. Any other last comments for Michelangelo?
Léon, if people are interested, who should they contact? You or Chi?
I would say the maximum expert on this, so you.
Okay, they can always send an email to me and I can forward it. Yeah.
Yeah, so we don't have an official point of contact, but Peter indeed seems to be the de facto practical guy who leads this. So yeah, please contact him directly. If you don't have his email address, contact me as well. I'll do an introduction, but I'm sure Peter can also copy paste his email in the chat.
Yeah, I will do that.
All right. Any last shout outs, compliments, questions for ACCA? I guess everyone also knows where to find Michelangelo for a follow-up. Then I suggest we move forward to Bernhard.
Yes, thank you. First of all, one big compliment to Michelangelo, a very impressive presentation. And what I want to speak about comes from the field of water management and all the things under the earth, under the streets. And I'm member of 2 working groups in Germany for water management. And the reason that I want to make a short explanation is that for most of the people, OpenBIM or especially IFC is just a button to press. And most people don't know how it works with the IFC model. And so I want to you a very short example how to explain how IFC works in the world of water management. I try to share my screen. So the idea is how to describe IFC files. The idea comes from how to describe a software code. And this is an example of image commands. It's here a C# program, and it's the possibility to insert pictures inside the code. So it's much better to understand what the code is used for. And with this idea, I show the mail to Léon. And with this idea, I asked myself, why not including these pictures into an IFC file? And the result is that the picture was embedded as a command in the IFC file, as a HTML command in the IFC file. And the way to produce this file was this way. One moment, please. Here you can see at the end is write to a step file. That's what we have seen before. And the other output method is write to an HTML file. And the result is that you have a formatted output with syntax highlighting of an IFC file. You have the picture of the structure here, and then formatted the IFC file. Before I used this way with plain text, no one can really read it. So it's much better to describe steps in an IFC file with a small picture. That was all I want to explain. Any question here? Here it's just insert an image command in the as a command line in the IFC file, and it would be very easy to understand how this IFC file works. Maybe possibility for examples in the IFC documentation. That is much better now with the IFC 4.3 documentation. I have taken a look at it. Looks very good. And this is just a small example. If there are no questions up to here, I would close.
Thank you, Bernhard. I'm sure there will be comments and questions, so please.
Hi, it's Yushen. I want to ask, can this image can attach to an element IFC, or it's just can be collected in the file?
Collected, it must be a place where you can find it. Also could be an internet address. And at the moment, it's just a chance because to put it in a command, because IFC itself don't have an image command. Did this answer your question?
I think I want to ask is if I think I imagine this image can attach to an IFC element, or we used this for maybe a word or something else. It's kind of similar with BCF. I can't get what kind of usage we can use this kind of image in comments.
Oh, yes, I think it's similar to BCF, yes, but the IFC model don't have this element. BCF have elements for pictures, not IFC.
I think this can be used for like creating like annotated example IFC files.
Yes.
Yeah, that's why I think that's the use. If you would want this image to be seen when you import the IFC file, I think that is not this is not the solution for that. That would be something else.
Yes. The reason that it works is just the source of it is not the IFC file itself. It's the software that create IFC files and also create HTML files. So that's the reason that it works. This could be an agreement, put HTML code in a command. Maybe that would be a way.
Thanks. It's clear. Thanks.
Yeah, I see this for educational purposes. I think that's excellent.
Absolutely.
And also usually users don't look into IFC files, but BIM managers have to look into IFC files quite often, and this would really help them to understand very easily and even faster what's the content of the file.
Yes, that's the reason that I use it in working groups for water management, that the members of these working groups are understanding how the IFC file works.
Excuse me. If I can imagine, why don't we just put this image? Maybe we can put a link in the comments too for the whole description with image, maybe videos, like other things, maybe.
Yes, it's possible. If you can describe it in HTML, like videos, yes, also possible, yes. Just a starting point, an idea how to make IFC files understandable.
Yeah, it's a great one.
And up to now, I described before, it was only possible this way, but that's hard to read. It's a better solution than this one. This is better to read. Okay, the only idea is putting commands in an IFC file with agreement. If there is a part of an HTML code, just evaluate it and display it. Thank you.
I did expect some comments on BCF, but I guess you already answered those questions by defining the scope of this initiative for educational purposes. So that's very nice. Thank you. So that brings us to the end of the program. Obviously, there is still room for additional comments and questions if anyone has something. So please feel free to open your mic and shout out.
I think the format for this assembly, however it's called nowadays, I never remember. I think this was better, more interactive than have been used, like the remote ones have been. So I think that was good. So I think the discussion that we had with Léon yesterday, that was quite lively and like almost like the old days when we met together.
I really want to use these meetings for implementers and vendors to take the steering wheel basically and to drive some decisions instead of group of people who's down the tunnel of doing data modeling and juggling a deadline. So the intention really is to make it more interactive, and it was a bit of a search in the last 2 years due to these Corona issues. We almost thought that we could do a physical meeting of this, or at least a hybrid meeting in Dublin, but in the end we only had 3 people who said they would travel to Dublin for a physical meeting. So unfortunately this is again an online meeting, but indeed the intent really is to get it as interactive as possible and to really get vendors really get their input instead of just informing them like we did the last couple of times. So it's good to hear that you're making progress on that passing. And I do hope that next time, so I actually have a slide on next time is probably September. I do hope that we can have some kind of an in-person meeting. I think I see Angel is still on the call. There's a 3-year postponed meeting in Boston, I believe, that Autodesk is willing to host. So hopefully that in fall this year, we can have this physical in-person meeting. I think that would also improve the interaction and really the input.
Well, on the other hand, we have like 35 participants here now. You won't have so many in the physical meetings.
No, I think it will always be a hybrid meeting. So I think we were in Lithuania also 2 years ago, where we had a bit of a hybrid meeting where we had 10-15 people in the room and the rest online. I think these kind of meetings will continue to be hybrid from now on. But the more people physically in a room, the better, I guess. All right. Just to remind you that the summit is scheduled for end of March for those interested. Will be virtual as well. And then somewhere the end of April, there will be a user conference, also virtual. So we are trying to specifically target 3 different groups. So really the technical vendors and implementers in these meetings, summit, the audience you know there, and then in the user conference, it's really having the users talk about how they use IFC and how they creatively use the standards and services. Also trying to publish user guides on how to create high quality IFC, high quality workflows. So those are the 3 different target groups with the different meetings that we're trying to reach. And I'm not sure if many of you in this call are interested, but there's also this international council that is scheduled for, I think, June. And for now, that is still scheduled as a physical meeting in Switzerland. I see Dan just shared the link for the summit registration as well. So if anyone wants to join there, that's helpful. This year it is I think I'm not sure how to how to say it's free but not free. Dan, what's the official what's the official communication strategy on this? It's free but there's a registration fee.
Free but there's a booking fee.
Booking fee, okay.
Yeah, we are charged a booking fee by the platform, so it's just passing that cost on, but otherwise it's essentially free. It's only so it will only cost someone €10. If you're part of an organization or company that's one of our members, then you will have been sent some codes for completely free tickets. So get in touch with your main contact person within your company if you are a member of buildingSMART International. And it's the 28th of March to the 1st of April, and the user conference is Thursday the 28th and Friday the 29th of April, which will be online. Link to follow.
Hopefully the last fully online summit.
Indeed.
All right, so that brings us to the end. Thank you all again. Dan is probably going to spend his evenings and weekends to process the video and publish them online as soon as possible. I think the link has been shared a couple times now. And we will also follow up on email to notify you when the videos are up. So thank you again. I second the comments from Pasi that it was a very nice interactive session. So I think it's a good precedent for next time. We can even drive that further. Thank you all for participating and hope to see you again soon.
Thank you, Léon. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
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 I don't see any.